Let's call the meeting to order. We're going to station the pledge, and I think Mr. Garrison will lead us in vote. Because I just noticed for the peppermint in his mouth. Invocation and pledge.
Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for this great country we live in. Thank you for this college. Be with this board. Help us make decisions that will be pleasing to your will. Be with the folks out in this weather. Give them safe travel. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Let's start with the consideration and approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve it.
Mr. Garrison makes a motion to approve the agenda. Is there a second? I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Do we have Chris? I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's on the
okay.
agenda.
All right. How about consideration and approval of the minutes of November board meeting? Any discussion? Is there a motion? I'll make a motion to approve that. Dr. Hager makes a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second. Mr. Featherston, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Let's go to the consideration of the college financial report. I believe Ms. Eubank is here.
I am.
Good, because she let me in the building today.
Okay, so let's first look at our November 30th comparison of this year to last year. I think that's on page 7. You can see this first page is just looking at our revenues, slightly behind in tuition fees, pattern that we've been talking about for some time. Ahead in some other areas, most notably behind in federal and state grants, and that's just different from how a lot of those federal grants in the previous fiscal year that ended, and some in the state grants as well that just changed. So that's going to be an expected difference from one year to the next, that we'll see that pattern throughout the year. On the next page then, looking at our expenses, fairly comparable. Of course, salaries and benefits ahead of where they were last year, reflecting increases that we had as part of the budget this year. Everything else being pretty comparable. And then finally on page 9, looking at revenues minus expenses, again, you'll see us behind where we were last fiscal year, largely in part due to those last bit of grants that we had in the previous fiscal years. That's going to be a persistent difference between the 2 fiscal years. Then if you look over on page 12, and we look at our budget to actual, you can see that while we're behind where we were last year, we're doing pretty well in comparison to budget. So on the top half of that page, looking at revenues, zero tuition and fees, I believe that's at 85% of our budgeted revenues. So that's a good spot to be in. This is at December, so this is halfway through the fiscal year. So this doesn't have all of spring enrollment. And of course, summer will also ultimately be included in that number as well. Other areas pretty comparable. Of course, non-operating revenues largely going to come in January with our property taxes. So we get to really see most of that coming in just yet. And then on the bottom half of that page, looking at our expenses, sort of using that 50% as our benchmark, 50% of the year. You can see that most all of our categories are right where we expect them to be. Scholarships always trends just a little bit differently. That's also as to be expected. So when we look at it compared to budget, we're in good shape. Following that, then if you want to look at the capital budget on page 14, you can see we're moving ahead with some of the same projects we've talked about in previous months, with the continued repairs on Westover. We've finished the roof on the academic resource commons, and then some of the projects we've had on campus with lighting and things of that nature. Following that, looking at our cash and banks, we want to turn to page 17, look at the pie graph. This is, as of the end of December, right at the very beginning of January, just taking a snapshot. At that time, you can see that, for mid-year, this is a very, standard pattern. We're sitting in a good spot with our, reserves and operating cash. Then, following that, on page 21, you'll see that we have added a certificate of deposit. We did a short-term investment there. This is just with college funds. We saw an opportunity with interest rates going up that we just bought a short-term 3-month CD there to get a little bit of return on some of the cash that we have. Following that, then, of course, we've transferred the endowment CDs now to the, we've cashed them out in terms of CDs, and we've reinvested them at community foundations in the Ozarks. So we will have our first statement from them probably this month for the, as of December, issue quarterly statements. So we'll be able to start listing those once we have that. And then we'll get on our schedule of those. Then on page 24, you see that our bid report, we will bid out the athletic insurance, and you will see a action item in your board book later in the agenda. We also have back in November, no, that's November of 2011. Never mind. I've got an extra page in mine. I was like, oh, I'm doing that. I think that concludes my report. Do you have any questions?
The extra pages in here also, it doesn't apply to no data.
Which one is that?
The report from, yeah,
It's a miss.
Yes. You're correct.
Any questions for Mr. Eubank?
Make a motion to approve the financial report and then the financial considerations report. I think you mentioned we have to vote on what we did.
For the athletic insurance, yeah, that's later in the meeting.
Oh, we don't do that now.
No, we're just approving the board, the financial.
I'll say it.
Motion by Mr. Garrison, second by Dr. Hager. I believe this would be a voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Let's move to the president's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So had a busy month from November to now. We've had the Roseanne Standard Art Exhibit. This is the next in our art exhibits in the Penning Gallery. So we put on 7 exhibits for this year, and we're right halfway in between. Had a really nice reception associated with the patrons event that was very well attended. Then we hosted a workshop on surviving suicide loss on November 18th. This is part of our continuing effort to engage with our community and mental health efforts. And then the music department put on a wonderful concert November 21st to showcase their work to date this year. That was very well attended. I almost had a full house in the music students, and we had a performance by the student, college, and community band, all of which was very nicely done. Then on December 15th, we pinned our latest set of nurse graduates. They are all out, employed, and working to pass their exams. Then for part of the Christmas season, each year, the employees at the college have adopted families, and to make sure that they had a great Christmas. This year, we focused internally, and we adopted some families that had students here at Three Rivers. And we were able to impact a number of families, ensure they had a great Christmas. Everything from being able to fix someone's heater so they had heat for the winter, to clothes and shoes. Our employees really stepped up, donated a lot, did a lot of work to wrap, gather, deliver, and the internal focus was a little bit different than what we had done over the years and really resonated well with our employee community and our retirees as well. So a lot of participation in that. That's something we'll definitely repeat as the years go on. Then January 8th, we were able to come together for the new season. That's the kickoff of the spring semester and our registration period. And then on January 9th, in partnership with Missouri Highlands Healthcare, we hosted the Blue Zones group. This is the first meeting of an ongoing series where they're discussing blue zones and healthy eating and healthy lifestyles to improve our community. So a lot of great things going on Three Rivers, and let's talk about some of our upcoming items. First Responders Night tonight at Libla, in correspondence with the doubleheader ball game. Lady Raiders and Raiders play against Moberly tonight, and we'll be honoring all our first responders across the area. Then January 24th at the Libla Family Sports Complex, it's Coaches versus Cancer Night. So we're going to raise a little money for the fight against cancer and have a little fun that evening. So everybody can come out. Then February 1st, we're going to host another blood drive. So we do these 3 or 4 times a year here on campus. They're always well attended and one of the ways we give back to our community. Then February 2nd and 3rd, Ag Connect, which is put on by our Ag Instructional Program in partnership with Missouri Extension Council. We are hosting that here in the Beth Activity Center. So really big day. Our ag students and Ms. Clark, our ag teacher, have done a fantastic job putting this together. It's going to be a big event, bring a lot of people on campus. And then February 8th and 10th, our annual Jazz Fest will be here. This is the 38th year of the Jazz Fest. So our music department puts that on, brings in external clinicians, area junior high, high school, and college jazz groups. And this really serves as a prep for all of the high school and junior high competitions that they'll go to right after. Then on February 9th, as part of that, the patrons are bringing in Jubilation Jazz. February 9th, 7 p.m. Tickets on sale now, sponsored by Boyd Engineering. Boyd Engineering has worked with the college on our HVAC upgrades, and Ben Boyd, the principal of Boyd Engineering, is one of our alumni. And then Elementary Day at Libla, February 10th, hosting for a double header, inviting all of the elementary schools out, free admission to be part of that night's game. Then February 14th, another patrons event. This is the Valentine's Dinner and Show. Excuse me, entertainment will be the Piano Man, and dinner will be provided by Tasteful Creations. Really nice event, so everybody come out. Tickets are still available, $60 a piece. And then February 24th, we are doing our alumni reunion weekend, starting with a pancake breakfast. This is the 50th anniversary of our first graduating class of nurses, so we're focusing on that. We'll have a alumni fine arts showcase put on by Steve Whitworth. Alumni Star Award reception will be in the lobby of Tenon at 2 p.m. Women's basketball game at 5, men's basketball game at 7. Again, we'll be playing Moberly this year. And then our Raider of the Year will be announced at halftime of the men's game. So big weekend, big day. Look forward to seeing everybody come back on campus. And that is the president's report. And we do have some executive session items.
All right, with that,
We have Eric.
Oh, yes, sir.
Question real quick. Have we listed the Hall of Fame people yet?
Hall of Fame, we We are, not doing a Hall of Fame this year, it'll be next.
Instead of this year's football.
With that, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I'll move.
And is there a second?
I'll second this.
And this is a roll call vote.
Trustee Featherston?
Yes.
Trustee Hager?
Yes.
Trustee Garrison?
Yeah.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
All right, we are in executive session. Does anyone need a quick break before we go? Samantha, do you have any questions for us? And we are back in regular session. The next thing before our board is the items for consideration, discussion, and vote. Consideration for approval of athletic teams insurance.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we put the athletic insurance out to bid. Our broker, Gallagher Bassett, handled the, collection of bid responses. And it is our recommendation that, we award to Star Indemnity and, Zurich American Insurance for the catastrophic portion.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, I'd like to entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve that.
Dr. Hager makes a motion. Is there a second? Mr. Garrison, this is a roll call vote.
Trustee Featherston?
Yes.
Trustee Hager?
Yes.
Trustee Garrison?
Yeah.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes. All right, let's move on to the next item, which is consideration and approval of all personnel actions and the associated documents attached here to the board.
I make a motion to accept them as presented and all associated documents.
Is there a second?
I will second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Featherston, second by Dr. Hager. This again is a roll call.
Trustee Featherston?
Yes.
Trustee Hager?
Yes.
Trustee Garrison?
Yeah.
Trustee Shaw?
Yep. And let's go to, we're going to the upcoming events, we've done the newspaper articles. Our next meeting is February the 15th. For those of you that are married, like myself, that is the day after Valentine's Day, and I would call for an adjournment motion.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I will second that.
Thank you. Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Let's go home.